Issue 164. We start out with Eggman sucking up to the evil princess with a necklace to keep his position, and since she accepted the necklace, stage 1 of his plan with Grimer is complete. Then we see Sonic fighting one of the mummies suddenly around them, while Amy is pointing her crossbow at them. And just now, Sonic's commenting on how she's wearing a cardigan and slippers. You'd think he would have said that the minute he saw her that morning and she got them on. That's something I really like about this comic. Amy actually gets to vary her wardrobe instead of always wearing that old-fashioned red dress because video games. Sonic gets hit by a mummy, reminding him of the transportation belt because he forgot about the whole reason he's in this world, apparently. And Amy tells him to snap out of it because a mummy's about to hit him with a rock. What incentive do these mummies have to fight them anyways? What'd they do to him? Predictably, Amy's the one who attacks that mummy by kicking it, and some civilians thank them for saving them. Sonic lampshading the fact that he forgot about the transportation belt in the recap doesn't make the fact that he did good writing. Is that— oh! Then he says that Eggman must have had a wizard zap him with a spell so he'd forget about it. Did that happen off screen? That feels lazy then. Since I'm just learning about this excuse now, it feels like an ass pull after the fact. It makes all that padding up to now feel even more arbitrary and forced. We should have seen that happen to Sonic. And I don't think knocks to the head actually worked that way, but whatever. Sonic runs into the castle, punching through a wall at Sonic speed to get to Eggman, who's incorporated the transportation belt into the components of a dimension blender machine, which will enlarge the microverse of Shinazar until it would occupy the same space as Mobius, letting Eggman emerge as ruler of the new— won't that just destroy both worlds? Come on, Eggman, where's your common sense? I'm remembering when Echidna Paulus was being brought back to Mobius from the Hyperzone dimension, because it and the Dingo dimension were disappearing from colliding with each other in the first place. But here, Penders wrote this more logically, because Eggman's expecting me to believe that the process will merge the energy of both worlds like two cells joining together, and it'll all just be fine instead of destroying everyone in both worlds from the same reason that Telefrag is so deadly. This is making Penders look like a better writer, because he at least understood that this would be bad news. Two things can't occupy the same physical space. Like, Eggman's not literally saying that Mobius will become a larger planet by doing this, and thus there would be room for Shinazar in it. That would have made sense. Also, Mobius being larger would increase the gravity on it. I hope Eggman is supposed to be portrayed as being totally wrong here. Fang shoots Sonic from behind since they've been expecting him. He has a nasty habit of catching Sonic off guard and stunning him, in both comics. And after Amy attacks Fang, she gets zapped too by Grimer. Then the princess rushes in, saying she's heard everything from off-screen conveniently, and if anyone's gonna rule New World, it'll be her. Then when she tells the guards to try to kill him, she gets transformed into a frog, rather fittingly, because of her necklace's magic gems. I love seeing Eggman take advantage of magic for once, and magic other than Chaos Emeralds. It's refreshing, it makes way more sense than technology doing the impossible. Plus it makes sense because Eggman in this comic was formed from a Chaos Emerald experiment. So of course he would be more focused on magic instead of hating it for no reason like he does under Flynn. I also love Eggman's outfit. It's a refreshing change of pace having him be dressed desert-like that. This is part of what makes this comic better than the reboot, where nobody's allowed to dress differently. Like, part of what I liked about the giant King Kong story in Archie was that you actually got to see Robotnik dress up in a safari costume while looking for that thing. The only story was by Lou Stringer, and was about Eggman being completely prepared for Sonic and Amy showing up, despite having no way of knowing that Sonic would regain his memory. As Fang shoots them both, presumably tricking them away, after Eggman explains that he plans to take over both Mobius and the Microverse by enlarging the latter and fusing it with it. I guess its logic is that it'll just make Mobius bigger to have room for the Microverse world, but I was thinking of the last time I heard of a worlds colliding concept, and it didn't exactly go over very well. At least Penders handled it realistically. It sounds interesting though, although I think that about almost every new concept. Also, the ugly princess is finally dealt with as her necklace turns into a frog for trying to order a death sentence against Eggman. And it turns out Sonic had a spell cast on him by a wizard off-screen, justifying why he forgot about the growing belt for so long. I mean, I had assumed that it was because he didn't think that he could break into the castle and get the transforming belt back so easily, since the last time he tried to get it, he was thrown in jail. I thought he was just being smart and waiting for something to come up, like a magical scepter that would make it way easier and safer for him to try and get it back. But instead, he just completely forgot about it. That came out of nowhere. This would have felt fine if it was deliberately shown on screen, but it wasn't, so it's an asshole. And so is him remembering from a hit to the head. It was being built up to that the microverse would get more world building, with Sonic and Amy exploring it. But instead, the only new area we saw was a meta with medieval European villains in a space race on an asteroid. But at least the arc's finally ending.